This is BBC World News and Asia Business Report.
Friend or foe? Can the Chinese-led Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank confront its critics as it prepares to hold its first meeting? And working hard in the lap of luxury. An inside look at what it takes to run a five-star hotel. Hello, welcome to Asia Business Report. I'm Sharanjeet Lail. Now, the China-backed Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank holds its first meeting this weekend with representatives from the bank's 57 founding members gathering in Beijing. Well, the bank is widely seen to be a rival to the US-led World Bank, although a number of US allies have joined. Well, earlier I spoke with analyst Peter Churchhouse in Hong Kong, and I asked him what's likely to be on the agenda of this very first meeting.
A couple of things on the agenda. Firstly, the second panel discussion was about green lending and green investment. So obviously they're very focused on politically correct issues, even around finance. But I think there are going to be three things really discussed at this meeting. Firstly, it's a bit of a getting to know you session for the people within the organization themselves. Bear in mind, this organization is less than a year old. So these executives all need to get together and get to know each other. Secondly, I think there's going to be quite a lot of discussion with other multilateral development banks, such as the ADB, World Bank, EIB, the European Bank for Reconstruction, etc., etc. And it's quite clear that the AIIB is not in competition with these organizations. It actually is cooperating with them. And thirdly, I think there'll be a lot of discussion with potential borrowers and service providers to the AIIB.
Right.
So three levels of discussion, I think.
Okay, really quite fascinating there. They've got their work cut out for them, I suppose. But could you tell us a little bit about the projects they've been funding thus far and, you know, concerns that perhaps some of these projects are sort of politically motivated by Beijing?
Well, that was an initial concern when the organization was first mooted, that this was really a political vehicle from China. In actual fact, I think a lot of those concerns have been dissipated over the course of the last year or two. The first year's projects, I think there'll be about a dozen projects launched in the first year, and pretty much all of those projects are going to be in infrastructure, obviously, but are also going to be in cooperation with other multilateral development banks.
Right.
So this is not the AIIB setting its own agenda. It's working in cooperation with these other organizations. So that's probably good news.
Peter Churchhouse there. Now, in its annual checkup on the US economy, the International Monetary Fund has downgraded its growth forecast for the year, predicting an expansion of 2.2%, and that's down from 2.4% growth last year. Christine Lagarde, the director at the IMF, also called on the US to raise the minimum wage to help the poor and offer paid maternity leave to encourage more women to work. And the IMF chief said the Federal Reserve should avoid sudden moves on interest rates.
Any such decision to increase rates should be data dependent, should be gradual, and should clearly be focused on the objective of stability and not abrupt decisions one way or the other.
Christine Lagarde there. Now, shares of Tesla Motors tanked by more than 10% overnight, and that's after the electric car maker made an offer to buy solar installation firm Solar City. Now, the potential deal is valued at close to $3 billion, and analysts on Wall Street said there were really a lack of specifics on how the potential merger could bring financial savings to both companies. And FedEx shares closed 5% lower one day after the package delivery company reported a quarterly loss, which it blamed on pension adjustments as well as expenses related to acquiring Dutch rival TNT. Investors sold off the stock after FedEx said it had no clarity on how the acquisition would affect future earnings. And Mitsubishi Motors has forecast a net loss of $1.4 billion for the current business year to April. That's in the wake of its fuel efficiency scandal. Earlier this year, the Japanese carmaker admitted it had been falsifying fuel efficiency tests for decades. The scandal led to a sell-off in the company's shares, which resulted in its market value dropping by more than $3 billion. Now, Hong Kong's flag carrier Cathay Pacific Airlines has decided to ban the shipment of shark's fin on all its flights with immediate effect. That's a turnaround from the airline's previous stance when Cathay said it would only carry shark's fin that had been sustainably sourced. Cathay now joins the list of other international airlines that had already adopted the ban, including Australia's Qantas, British Airways and Singapore Airlines. Now, who you know is key when it comes to business, but could it also be damaging? Well, in China, the importance of connections, or guanxi, is well established. Well, now a study has looked into its impact in the financial industry, revealing concerns about the relationships between financial analysts and fund managers. Professor Zhaoyang Gu of the Chinese University of Hong Kong told me why China has a particular problem.
Guanxi actually exists in every society and every culture. It's not surprising that even in the US or in Europe, you find guanxi affect business relationships. But perhaps in no other country is guanxi more important than in China. I think the reason is pretty simple. The market is not well developed, and the cost of transaction through the market is pretty high. So people have to resort to alternative ways, low-cost ways to do business. And guanxi is the natural alternative.
So is guanxi potentially harmful to markets? And what can be done to potentially regulate it?
In our setting, we'll focus on the negative side of guanxi, in that financial analysts and mutual fund managers find ways to collude and to benefit each other rather than to help the small investors. We find that the typical career path of the mutual fund manager is to work a few years in the brokerage house and then move out to work as a fund manager. So they keep this natural relationship with their old colleagues in the brokerage house, who are now the financial analysts. It is pretty hard to regulate guanxi. Unlike explicit relationships, for example, the brokerage house can have ownership in a mutual fund. The regulation can be, hey, you cannot hold more than 10% of ownership or for more than 2 mutual funds. But for guanxi, it's quite often implicit in many different forms. For example, we examine the formal colleagueship. It can be attending the same school, coming from the same hometown, being the same golf club member. So it's extremely hard to regulate such elusive relationship, and yet it is everywhere.
Zhaoyang Gu speaking there. Now, what is your dream job? Well, most people could name one, but not everyone manages to make money the way they'd really love to. However, over the next few weeks, we're going to meet people from around the region who've made a career out of doing something quite cool. Well, this week we find out how this man went from chef to running a 5-star hotel here in Singapore.
My name is Piotr. I'm the general manager of Sofitel Store Singapore. Being operation manager, hotel manager in different destinations for almost 8 years, and to get promoted to general manager, in a sense, yes, there is more responsibilities, but I'm going to be myself and I'm going to fix everything the way I'm fixing today. Just would like to welcome you on my first GM meeting. Yes. So that's. When I look at myself today, yes, I'm very proud what I achieve. You might be surprised, but it's driving me the same what drove me 20 years ago, to be a better person, to live better. I don't want to be the richest man in the world. Well, I started as a chef. My inspiration to go to culinary school, actually, it was my uncle. I love to sit next to him in the kitchen and look at the way he was creating his food. I think that drives me at that time to do something for the others, to bring the satisfaction and smile to other people. I've seen so many different management styles, and that's what drives me at the time, every single day, to come to work and to learn how you talk, what you say, how you move, how you behave, how you dress, how you create the atmosphere in the hotel. If the general manager is my last role, I don't know, in the sense of development. When I work, I had my pleasure out of it. So I didn't work hard to be stressed. I worked hard to have my passion. So thank you very much. Thank you. Enjoy your day. Thank you.
Piotr Kupiak there. Now, Asia Business Report will be back on Monday. Tomorrow we've got special programming on the EU referendum, so stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, I'm Sharon Jutleel. Thanks for watching.